The Umayyad rule. With the death of Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, the first and most notable phase in the history of Muslim peoples came to an end. All through this period it had been the Book of Allah and the practices of His Messenger, peace be upon him, that is, the Quran and the Sunnah, which had guided the leaders and the led, set the standards of their moral conduct and inspired their actions. It was the time when the ruler and the ruled, the rich and the poor, the powerful and the weak, were uniformly subject to the divine law. After Ali, Muslims agreed to give the caliphate to Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him. Muawiyah tried to continue on the same way as the rightly guided caliphs, may Allah be pleased with them, but he was ruling a different generation of people. The Umayyad dynasty ruled the Muslim Ummah from 661-749 CE, while later on Spain from 756-1031 CE. Muawiyah was an able administrator, and even his critics concede that he possessed to a high degree the much valued quality of ilm, a quality which may be defined as civilized restraint, and which he himself once described in these words, I apply not my sword where my lash suffices, nor my lash where my tongue is enough. And even if there be one hair binding me to my fellowmen, I do not let it break, when they pull I loosen, and if they loosen I pull. Muawiyah was able to reconcile the opposition to his rule and he ruled the Muslim state stably for 20 years with no conflict. However, after he died in 680 the Shia resumed a complicated but persistent struggle, that plagued the Umayyads at home for most of the next 470 years and in time spread into North Africa and Spain. The Umayyads, however, did manage to achieve a high degree of stability, particularly after Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan succeeded to the caliphate in 685. Like the Umayyads who preceded him, Abd al-Malik was forced to devote a substantial part of his reign to political problems. But he also introduced much-needed reforms. He directed the cleaning and reopening of the canals that irrigated the Tigris-Euphrates Valley, a key to the prosperity of Mesopotamia since the time of the Sumerians, introduced the use of the Indian water buffalo in the revering marshes, and minted a standard coinage which replaced the Byzantine and Sassanid coins, until then the sole currencies in circulation. Abdul Malik's organization of government agencies was also important. It established a model for the later elaborate bureaucracies of the Abbasids and their successor states. There were specific agencies charged with keeping pay records, others concerned themselves with the collection of taxes. Abd al-Malik established a system of postal routes to expedite his communications throughout the far-flung empire. Most important of all, he introduced Arabic as the language of administration, replacing Greek and Pahlavi. Under Abd al-Malik, the Umayyads expanded Islamic power still further. To the east they extended their influence into Transoxania, an area north of the Oxus River in today's Uzbekistan, and went on to reach the borders of China. To the west, they took North Africa, in a continuation of the campaign led by Uqba ibn Nafi, who founded the city of Kairouan, in what is now Tunisia, and from there rode all the way to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. In 747, revolutionaries in Khorasan unfurled the black flag of rebellion that would bring the Umayyad dynasty to an end. Although the Umayyads favored their own region of Syria, their rule was full of accomplishments. Some of the most beautiful existing buildings in the Muslim world were constructed at their instigation, buildings such as the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and the lovely country palaces in the deserts of Syria, Jordan, and Iraq. They also organized a bureaucracy able to cope with the complex problems of a vast and diverse empire, and made Arabic the language of government. The Umayyads, furthermore, encouraged such writers as Abd Allah ibn al-Muqaffa and Abd al-Hamid ibn Yahya al-Khatib, whose clear, expository Arabic prose has rarely been surpassed. With the passing of time, some groups from Khorasan and Iraq prepared of rebellion to the Umayyad rule. By skillful preparation, this organization rallied to its cause many mutually hostile groups in Khorasan and Iraq and proclaimed Abu al-Abbas caliph. Marwan ibn Muhammad, the last Umayyad caliph, was defeated and the Syrians, still loyal to the Umayyads, were put to rout. Only one man of importance escaped the disaster, Abd al-Rahman ibn Muawiyah al-Dakil, a young prince who with a loyal servant fled to Spain and in 756 set up an Umayyad dynasty there. Hope you learned some basic details about the Umayyad history, as to help us understand our Muslim past. Salam, Roots Islamic Homeschool, the History Series.